When we do an applique design on the machine, we need to change our color change mode to either automatic with stops between color changes or manual. And in this design, I am doing manual. So we'll start up the machine, and the first stitch that goes down is called the placement stitch. This will run around the area or around where the fabric should be placed. So it's giving us a template and stitches of where to place the fabric. As it finishes up the design, or of the placement stitch, it will stop because we have now told our machine to stop between color changes. We place the fabric on top of the placement stitch. This can be pre-cut letters or it can be a square of fabric. It's still on the manual mode, so then we start our machine and it will now do the tack down stitch. Usually with placing fabric down, I like to use an adhesive spray, and that way it'll keep it in place. The material that we're using in this example is a very hard and very stiff material, so it really doesn't need much spray adhesive when using something like this. But most other materials you will use a spray adhesive. So the second stitch that it's doing now is the tack down stitch, and again it's just like the outline of the area, and usually this is a run or a double run or even a zigzag stitch that we do for it. Now in this case it is going to do the inside of the O because the O has a center part that needs to be cut out of the fabric. So after it's finishing with this step, the machine will stop because again it is on that mode to stop after a color change or when it sees a color change. So the next step is trimming that fabric, and what we've done is we took the hoop out of our machine, trimmed the fabric, and after we trimmed it we put it back in and started the machine up again. The last stitch that it's doing is the cover stitch. So usually it does an underlay stitch, and then on top of it it will do the cover stitch. The cover stitch is usually with applique it is a zigzag stitch or a satin stitch, and in this case you're going to see a satin stitch. It's going to be a little bit of a fuller stitch than what we usually see with zigzags or tackle twill. Now you do want to make sure that when you are trimming the fabric, you do get as close as possible to that tack down stitch.